Meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 1:15 p.m. This Zoom webinar is being live streamed on YouTube. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they're currently using, please visit our social media at Redistricting Michigan to find the link for viewing on YouTube. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation, and Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services will be provided for effective participation in this meeting. Email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations should also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC for viewing at a later date. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those transcriptions will be made available and posted on michigan.gov/MICRC along with written public comment submissions. There is also a public comment portal that may be accessed by visiting michigan.gov/MICRC. This portal can be utilized to post maps and comments, which can be viewed by both the commission and the public. Members of the media who have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Communications and Outreach Director at the Commission. He can be reached at woodse3@michigan.gov. For the purposes of the public watching and the public record, I will turn to Department of State staff to take note of the commissioners present.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, please say present when I call your name. If you are attending the meeting remotely, please announce during roll call that you are attending remotely, and unless your absence is due to military duty, announce your physical location by stating the county, city, township, or village, and the state from which you're attending. I'll start with Doug Clark.
Present.
Juanita Curry.
Present.
Anthony Eade.
Present.
Brittany Kellum.
Present.
Rhonda Lang.
Present, attending remotely from Reed City, Michigan.
Steve Lett.
Present.
Cynthia Orton.
Present.
MC Rothorn.
Present.
Rebecca Satella.
Present.
Janice Follett.
Present.
Aaron Wagner. Commissioner Wagner, I could see that you were talking, but it looks like we couldn't hear you. Could you try again? I'm going to mark you as present, but we're still having audio issues, so we can connect offline and we'll help resolve those. Thank you. Richard Weiss.
Present.
Dustin Witches.
Present.
All commissioners are present.
Thank you, Michigan Department of State staff. As a reminder to the public, watching, you can view the agenda at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. I would now entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner MC Rothorn, second made by Juanita Curry. Is there any discussion or debate on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we move on to agenda item 4, public comment pertaining to agenda topics, I'd just like to take a second to address something real quick, if that's okay.
Can we wait until after public comment?
I think it's better before.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the interpreter's having a hard time hearing.
Pardon me? Oh, the interpreter is having trouble hearing. Okay. So let's speak slower and enunciate lips, teeth, and tip of the tongue so that.
I believe the microphone might have just been too far away is all.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Anthony, we're too far away.
So I'd just like to take a moment to address an ill-advised and unclear tweet that I made on my personal Twitter account the other day. The tweet was an answer to a question by a citizen about our policies, but my response was not clear and ill-advised. And for that, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. It was not my intention to critique anyone here, any of my fellow colleagues, or throw anyone under the bus. I think you guys know that's not what I'm about, and not who I am as a person. Shortly after I made the tweet, I deleted it, but it was already made public by then. And after our meeting, I had a conversation with Commissioner Kellum where we worked it out and addressed the issue. I think as a commission, we're an independent commission, so it's important that we hold ourselves accountable. And part of that is myself holding me accountable when I make a mistake. And that's what I did. So just wanted to say sorry about that, especially to all of you, but especially to Commissioner Kellum and Mr. Woods, who definitely got the brunt of it. During this process, as we move further along in it, I think we're gonna have a lot of people that try to tear us apart, and we're a team. We're one team, and it's important that we keep that in mind and stick with it. And my relationship to each of you is very important to me. So I just hope we can move past this, and I'm gonna be more careful in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Eid, for that heartfelt apology to both myself and the commission. I would say that it's an honor to be a part of not only a commission, but the great state of Michigan, where you can, be a caregiver. My mother currently is in the hospital, and I'm at the meeting. She was rushed to the hospital. And you can have a full-time job as the only commissioner, and then you can try to do an awesome job with your fellow commissioners. So it's great to be a part of a group in the state where that is sincere understanding, and people don't try to tear you down in the process. So it's a pleasure to sit with you all and to be back, and let's get back to business. Without objection, we'll now begin the public comment pertaining to agenda topics portion of our meeting. Hearing no objection, we will now proceed with public comment pertaining to agenda topics. Individuals who have signed up and indicated that they would like to provide in-person commentary to the commission will be allowed to do so, but I don't think today we have in-person comments, so it will be remote public comment. Individuals who have signed up and indicated that they would like to provide live remote public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. I'll turn the floor over to Michigan Department of State staff, who will facilitate our remote public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first remote public comment participant is a Mr. James Glant. Please allow me a moment to unmute you.
Permission to speak, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, okay. My name is James Gallant. I'm with the Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition, and these are my opinions. And for the clarity of the public, I had absolutely no idea what Commissioner Eid was talking about, and I think that needs to be added to the agenda and have decision made by this commission. See, this is the problem that's happening right now. The chair just seems to figure that she was going to take it upon herself to unilaterally, well, not unilaterally, with Mr. Woods, to resolve this issue for the commission. No. Under our Constitution, in your oath of office, all decisions are to be made in public, at a public meeting, under the Open Meetings Act. And you're supposed to have public comment, one at the beginning and one at the end. There's two. That's so that there can then be people say something during the meeting, and then the public gets a rebuttal. That's the way it's supposed to be working here. I'd ask you to please do that. And, this process about the collaborative mapping process, I believe this is what Mr. Woods is talking about. This is going to be the model process, is that, except for that, circumvents and absolutely offends our Constitution, because it appeared the members were unilaterally placing lines. Like Mr. Clark, he placed several lines and nobody could object in real time. So the members are being denied their rights to object in real time and to participate in real time. Everybody should be participating all at the same time. And a reminder to everybody that does not understand this collaborative, deliberative democracy thing, is they got to give a reason. So somebody gives one reason, and it's like cookie cutter reasons you're giving. But especially to your colleague, Commissioner Lang, just give a better reason to change it. And then you get to change it unilaterally because you gave a better reason. This is really obscene what's going on here. And Commissioner Vitella was bullying. That's what I mean. This is the bullying because she kept using the hearing no objections thing. So she's assuming everybody agrees. No, you have to vote yes to mean yes in this context.
Your allotted 2 minutes has ended, Mr. Gallant. Thank you.
Our next public comment participant is Chris Andrews. Please allow us a moment to unmute you.
I guess I was unmuted. I'm sorry. I appreciate the hard work that this group is doing, and it's important to the future of our state. I'm from the Lansing area. I want to thank you for dividing Ingham County into 2 districts to reflect the integrated nature of Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton counties. It makes sense to add Shiawassee to the region to complete the 2 districts. To have fair maps, you need to be considering the partisan makeup of the districts, both individually and the maps as a whole. I haven't seen that. I hope it becomes, I think it has to become part of the process. Voters amended the Constitution because we were harmed by gerrymandered districts that were written by politicians for partisan advantage. It was an intended consequence. I would hate to see an unintended consequence of maps that collectively or individually aren't competitive and don't reflect the makeup of the state as a whole. I'll give one quick example. In the Lansing area, the House maps put Delta Township in Eaton County into Lansing. That has the effect of making one extremely Republican district and one extremely Democratic district, when if you went the other way and took part of Waverly School District and put that into Eaton County along with Delta Township and Grand Ledge, you would have 2 competitive districts. And I think that's the kind of thing that that you want to do. I wish there were a better way to be able to follow what's going on. I spent a few hours trying to watch the mapping of Lansing, and in the House and the Senate was very instructive. But I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission.
Our next remote public comment participant is Jonathan Gonzalez. Please allow us a moment to unmute you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. To begin, I'd like to express my gratitude to the ICRC for providing me this opportunity to speak. Second, I'd like to emphasize that the ICRC has divided the state into regions and assigned a similar amount of time to map each region. I believe that the time assigned is in opportune time for the Detroit metro region. This time period, I believe, is inappropriate due to the fact that over a third of Michigan's population resides in the Detroit metro area. Detroit metro also has the highest level of participation in the redistricting process, with residents submitting numerous communities of interest, state house, state senate, and congressional maps. I believe that every voice should not only be heard, but also considered during the redistricting mapping process. 1 day of mapping for each of the district maps in the Detroit metro is an insufficient time to hear and consider every voice. And I want to thank you again for this opportunity to speak, and I hope you will consider giving Metro Detroit additional time to map. Thank you.
Jonathan, we thank you for taking the time to address the commission.
That concludes our first round of public comment. We have one individual who has requested a second remote public comment. That individual is Mr. James Gallant. Please allow us a moment to unmute you.
Permission to speak, Madam Chair. Hello?
Hello, we can hear
Hello?
you.
Yeah, I
We
have to
can
get
hear
permission from the chair. It's in the rules, okay? Thank you. My name is James Gallant. I'm with the Marquette County Suicide Prevention Coalition, and these are my opinions. And as I was saying, we were talking about this. I see this all across the nonprofit sector, you know, and it's bullying. Is this collaborative process? They call it that. The facilitator makes the rules. Every one of these chairs, like the chair when Commissioner Zentella was presiding, she had her own little unique little thing. Everybody yielded to it, and then she facilitated it. And now, Commissioner Kellum, thank you for Commissioner Kellum for showing up. You know, you had a no call, no shows for a while there, and you know, I don't know if you were working behind the scenes like apparently you were because they just said you were, but not coming to the meetings. This is important, and there's supposed to be a motion pending right now. It comes on the agenda, map these maps, motion to approve the maps, and then discussion, yes. They draw the lines, yes. And at the end, call the question. That's what's supposed to be happening here. And this is, I think, a deliberate effort to change the decision-making process, to change the rules, reboot the system. And I hear this all over the internet. And it's like a wave now that people are trying to do. And I believe some of you here have been recruited. You know, you've got to remember that voters, not politicians, recruited a bunch of people to sign up for this. And there's no reason to believe that some of you are not affiliated with that organization and you signed up because of them. And you know, you folks have partisan issues too. I mean, you Democrats, Republicans, right? I mean, we actually don't know that now. Now, some of the documents say you are Democrats or Republicans. Some don't. Some say you just affirm to affiliate. We need to verify that because at the end, we need to have Democrat, Republican, and neither to be voting on the final map. So we need to verify that. And I think we need to have everybody just step up and say, are you voting members of these organizations or not? And if you're not, then I don't think you're affiliated because the Democratic Party gets to determine who's affiliated with them. You don't. And the Republican
Your
Party.
allotted
You
2
don't.
minutes has ended. Thank you so much for everyone who contributed to our public comment portion for our agenda. And that concludes the extent of our public comment for this afternoon. I would like to mention that all mailed and emailed public comment is provided to the commission before each meeting. And commissioners also review the public comment portal on our www.michigan.gov/MICRC website on a regular basis. So we appreciate everyone who provides public comment in whatever way you choose. And we invite you to keep sharing your thoughts, your communities of interest, and maps. Without objection, I'd like to move to unfinished business. Agenda item 6A, reflections on the Southeast and South Central State Senate and State House draft districts. These regions included Monroe, Lenawee, Hillsdale, Jackson, Washtenaw, Livingston, Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton counties. Before we move forward with today's business, I would like to ask my fellow commissioners if they have additional thoughts regarding these draft districts or any alternate drafts they would like to propose. Commissioner E.
Well, I think my biggest reflection on the process that took place earlier this week is that these maps are very preliminary right now. We're mainly only using really 2 or 3 pieces of data, those being population, contiguity, and district lines, district and county boundary lines, since we can see those on the map. But that's not the order that our Constitution has it. And because of that, as we get further along in this process, they're going to be changing. So I just hope the public knows that at this point, these maps are extremely preliminary and they will be changing as we incorporate both community of interest data, which I think we're going over later today in new business, and also political data.
Thank you, Commissioner E. Any thoughts, additional thoughts or any thoughts on what Commissioner E has shared? Commissioner Orton.
Well, I'll just second what he said, that this is just the beginning. We know we're going to have to go back when we get further information, racial data, political data, and consider the communities of interest. So it's not set in stone.
I'm of the same opinion, Commissioner Orton, and that's why I didn't add add much to it. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to new business. Without objection, I would like to ask Moon Duchin from MGGG to provide updated data on communities of interest from the public comment portal. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Dr. Duchin. And hi, how are
Okay.
you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Hi, everyone. So excited that you're getting started with your line drawing. And I want to show you today, we've been working really hard to synthesize all that great public input that you got into a form that will be as easy as possible for you to use. So I want to show you some of that progress. And I'll share my screen and get started. My plan for today, I'll keep it pretty brief. I want to show you how the synthesis is coming along and take any questions that you have. So here is a document that I'll show you now. I'll start with a PDF document that is the COI clusters for Michigan as of today. This document has also been shared with commission staff, and it's a pretty big document. As you can see, it's 159 pages. And I want to explain to you what it is, how it was made, and how I think it'll really, I hope, assist in your process. So you heard me talk before about some of our data science process for distilling all those hundreds of submissions into clusters or emergent communities of interest that come out when you take overlays of all the different areas that have been painted by members of the public. And for this document, we clustered those into 36 clusters. I'm absolutely happy to take some questions about how that was done. Why 36? Could you change the number? Please just ask. And we've put together tentative names and short descriptions that summarize the submissions. And so, for instance, this cluster called A1, it's called A1 because it's the first phase. We'll have a second phase and that'll start with B1. This cluster of core Upper Peninsula is supported by 7 submissions. And here's a heat map showing you the terrain that was covered by those 7 submissions. Next is something we've nicknamed Upper Mitten East. Of course, all these names are up for grabs and you should feel free to weigh in on those. That's supported by 30 submissions. So you see a darker color here in the heat map. The next we called Rural Northeast and so on. And so one of the things that I want you to see is that even though these overlap substantially, the algorithms that we're using to separate out both the geography and the meaning of the submissions picked these out as distinct clusters. Okay, and if you go through, you can scroll down and see one at a time what the clusters are, how many submissions support them, the nickname we gave it, the short description. But what I think, and I hope this will help as you scroll through and think about how the submissions reinforce each other. But what I think you'll find especially useful is if you zip ahead to the end of these. First, there's just a gallery where those are all shown next to each other. You'll see that 3 of them are crossed out just because they were merged into other clusters. Or in one case, you had a submitter say, the whole state of Michigan is my community of interest. So there that is. I want to emphasize for you that we're not doing any filtering at all. This document represents every single piece of input that you got from the public. We're doing our best to cluster, aggregate, distill, and describe it to make it more usable for you. But we're not doing any kind of upvote, downvote, nothing like that. Okay, after you get through the gallery, here's the part that I think you'll find especially valuable. And maybe I can make my screen a little bigger so we can. So now there's a series of tables, and this is why this runs to a 159-page document. There's the supporting data for each of the clusters. So you can actually just page through this and see what people had to say in their own words. The ones that were extremely long end in a ... so that this document didn't run to 400 pages. But you'll see there are live links next to each of these. And if you click on one of those links, it will open up the detail page in the gallery so that you can easily toggle back and forth, like scroll around and see the painted region and what folks had to say about it, kind of side by side with this document. So I'll just, so here's cluster A3. It was only supported by a few. Here's cluster A4, and some of them run to be pages and pages long. And you'll see some members of the public, of course, as you know, because you've been reviewing the portal yourselves, some members of the public go on at great length, trying to give you lots of local detail, and others are extremely succinct. That's my quick tour of this summary document. Let me take questions about that and then explain the rest of the process for giving you something that we hope you'll be able to really fold into your line drawing process. But I'll pause here to take questions if anyone has any.
Moon, you must have read my mind because MC has a question for you. Commissioner Rothorn, you have the floor.
Moon, thanks. Would you explain the 36, how you arrived at 36?
Sure, absolutely. So okay, so actually I'm going to switch my screen to the document that shows a little bit more how we did this and why 36. But I'll say as a preliminary point while I'm pulling that up, that what we used as a standard clustering algorithm, I think I showed you parts of this notebook the last time I joined you for a meeting. So we're calling here standard clustering packages from scientific computing. And I believe, and then it just processes through the data. And what it does is it creates this kind of agglomerative clustering hierarchy. So the point I want to make about this is just what this picture is telling you is that if you wanted to zoom out and get the most broad clusters, you could cut this figure. It's called a dendrogram. You could cut it near the top and it would give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could just take all that testimony and cluster it into 6 pieces. If you cut across this figure a little bit lower, you'll see those start to branch, right? And you get a larger number of somewhat smaller clusters. And then the lower down you cut it, if you cut this all the way at the bottom, every piece of testimony will be its own cluster, just on its own. So the art of clustering is finding a height to cut this at which you're getting rich enough testimony to support common themes. And at the same time, you're not creating too many clusters for the users, and that's you. So we played around with different heights that you could cut this in and decided that at 36, there are a few singleton clusters, the ones that I crossed out in the report that you saw before, because those got merged into other places. But for the most part, that was giving clusters of a nice size with a very rich description that we thought would be usable to you. Now, if you were to request for us to give you something with 60 or to give you something with only 20, since this is all pre-computed, that would just be a matter of slicing at a different height, and we could turn that right around for you. So 36 was our recommended sweet spot where we think you'll still find them understandable. You'll be able to see them and say, yeah, okay, that's the Hamtramck area. You know, those are people who are all talking about some of the same things. But 36 won't overwhelm you when you're making your maps. Please do, I invite you very sincerely to just ask for the clustering back at a different level of resolution, and we can turn that right around since, as I said, all of this is pre-computed. Did that make sense? Is that helpful?
That is helpful, thank you. And I am tempted to ask you to, we have those 10 regions, and it seems like it'd be incredibly useful to sort of figure out which of those 36, and how many of those 36 are in each region. And so if you could,
exactly.
With that seems,
Yeah, we did an initial comparison. That's right. And actually, for the most part, many of our clusters fall squarely in a single region. But of course, as you'd expect, some of them bridge between regions. Let me pull the visualization back up to show you that. So this is where we thought it'd be quite useful for you to be able to see just the gallery. me flip back to it so that you can page through these more easily and get a feeling for them. So you can, so for instance, as I remember your regions, they sort of divide the upper mitten into an eastern and a western part, if I remember right. And so you'll see that some of these really cross over that. And others fall squarely inside. So since you were starting your mapping in the Southwest and the West, we started paying attention to the Grand Rapids area and the Benton Harbor, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo area. You can see I actually used to live in Michigan for 3 years, but I've gotten to know Michigan geography a whole lot better in the last couple weeks. So I would say it's a mix. Some of our clusters here fall squarely into your regions and some straddle a little bit. But I would be happy, these figures show you the counties because we thought that would really help you orient to where they are. But I would be happy to give you alternate heat maps that show your regional split instead. So really, you know, we've got a great data team. We've been working hard to build a good pipeline so that we can slice this data any way you want to see it. So please don't be shy to make requests.
Thank you so much, Moon. I think we also have a question from Kim as well.
Yes, thank you, Moon, for this. I just wanted to review for the commission what we had received from you so far and ask you some questions on it. I got from you.
Sorry, just for me, is this Kim Brace? Oh, hi, Kim.
Yep.
Nice to see you now.
Hey there, Moon. Sorry about that. Yep. We got from you last night the set of the COIs like you had sent to us before.
Right.
And so we've processed those. I've created a new spreadsheet for everybody that shows all of that information, including the additional pieces of information that we have, like what we had sent you before in terms of the COIs.
Terrific. Sounds great.
I'm talking to the commission here. We've sent them that kind of a spreadsheet so that they can sort your COIs in any which way they want, including having which region the COI is in, as well as the population and racial demographics of the COIs. So I have a new one of that spreadsheet for everybody in the commission based upon what Moon had sent us last night. And so that I'll be able to distribute to the commission today. And so my question back to you, Moon, is now you've got some new things. I understand where you're going on this, which is great. The question is how best to let some of these come into our system.
Yep,
on
exactly.
That side. And
No,
so I'm wondering whether or not I mean, if you're coming up with 36 clusters is the acceptable number, or however you're going to treat these, can we get shape files of those individual cluster A21s or A22s so
Absolutely.
that we can see what you're seeing, and we can bring that into the system so that they can work with that within the Audubon Edge system.
Yeah, you bet. So thanks, Kim. What you got from me last night was up to the minute. So that included everything people had submitted right up to yesterday, late afternoon. And that actually kind of segues into the timeline part of my remarks today, because I'd like to kind of make sure that I'm on the same page with you, Kim, and with the commission about when we're going to finalize these clusters and whether this size looks good. I would love for folks on the commission to have a little bit of time to look at these, take a look at our descriptions, look at how the descriptions are supported by the entries here. And if you all collectively can give me the feedback that this looks like a good level of detail and a good level of resolution, then what I propose to do is to just flip the switch. I don't think you need to turn off collection in the portal from the public. You can keep that going or you can turn it off. That's an independent decision. But at some point, there's going to be there's going to be a cutoff for when the aggregation ends. And so my suggestion is you opened up in early March, you open the portal, My suggestion is to close it at the end of August, which is just a few days from now. And then if you tell me 36 seems like about the right number, we'll rerun the whole pipeline, redo the aggregation, change the pictures, update them to include all the August submissions. What you see here includes everything through July and the first few days of August when we started doing this aggregation process. So I think the question of what comes next is a crucial one. And that's where I want to make sure I'm on the same page with EDS and with the commission about when to finalize this. So in my mind, the next steps are, commissioners, please take a look at this. It's available to you now and it's fully public. I'm happy to have, it's been handed off to Mdos, and I'd be happy to have this shared on the commission's website. If you tell me that everything looks kind of good in terms of the level of detail and the level of resolution, then we'll kind of prepare to hit the big red button that finalizes this process and takes into account all the latest input. And Kim, every time we do a new round of these, you'll immediately receive the new shapefile that goes with it. So there will be no lag time in between when we produce the clusters and when you get the shapefile.
Okay. And I see in these new COIs that we're now up to 595 COIs.
Oh, that's a great point that I forgot to mention. So what you'll notice if you go through the submissions here, you see, can you all see this shared screen pretty well? Great.
Yes, when you enlarged it, yep.
Okay, good. And so you can see that most of these, like this submission here is C274. And that means this person who wants to tell you that the UP is a community of interest, they submitted it as a COI. But what we noticed when we were processing these is that some people submitted districting plans, and I'm going to look for one now that I can show you. Here's an example. So some people submitted districting plans with just a single district, and their description of that district explained why it should be considered a community of interest. Here, this person is telling you this should be considered a community of interest. So we reviewed not only the COIs, but also all the districting plans with just one district to see whether they merited inclusion as a COI. And you can tell the difference when you scroll through this by whether it's marked C for community or P for plan. So that's why the number, if you go in the portal and you ask how many COIs, the number that we were able to include in this aggregation process is greater than just the ones that show up as COIs in the portal, because it turned out that there was lots of great information in these singleton districting plans.
Okay, so we've got plans plus we've got COIs then on that side. So we've got two different ways of looking at the data that you're feeding to us. Can we have some?
No, sorry, just let me clarify. That's not two different ways of looking at it. That's two different sources of data. Either people submitted as a COI, or sometimes people submitted as a plan, but they only painted one district and they told you about it. And so we thought that was really valuable COI testimony.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to alert you that Commissioner Wagner has her hand raised.
Yes, I see Commissioner Wagner's hand, and I know MC also has a question, but thank you. Kim, go ahead.
So I just, for the clarity for the commission, I just wanted to make sure that if indeed there's a plan, can that be coded a little bit differently so that we can show that differently than the COI? Just trying to understand how you've got them so that we can properly interpret them for the commission and bring them in properly.
We're giving them all to you as individual polygons, whether it came from a singleton districting plan or whether it came from a COI. You're getting them the same way, Kim, and there's no need to distinguish them. And you're getting them with all the raw data attached. So the data pipeline already has processed these singleton districting plans as COIs. You already are in possession of all of those.
Okay, and
Kim, we can connect offline to further iron out exactly how the data will be migrated.
Sorry, Kim. We'll get those answers to you. So I'm gonna jump to Commissioner Rothorn and then Commissioner Wagner. Well, MC, can I have Commissioner Wagner first? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wagner, you have the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellum. Dr. Dusha, could you clarify for me, you had mentioned shutting down the portal. Is that for public comment or is that just for the COI portion?
Oh, this is completely up to you. So when you instruct us to shut it down for COI submission, we will do so. When you instruct us to stop taking any submissions, we will do so. I was only pointing out that that's an independent choice you can make. And when we complete our aggregation, it doesn't force you to stop collection at that time. It's just up to you how you'd like to handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagner. Commissioner Rothorn, please.
Dr. Duchin, what I'm thinking about is the 36 districts are helpful, not districts, sorry, the 36 clusters. I think what would be helpful for me, and maybe the public, is on each state of Michigan map, when it's the cluster is shown on the state, if we can have sort of an outline of the 10 regions that might be useful on each, just, and then I think, again, the 36 feels like they might work just as well. And then, yeah, we can see the definition with the 10 regions. Thank you.
Gladly. And what you'll see when you go through this, this report that I have been showing you is that there are a few in here that I think are good candidates for sub-splitting. So instead of kind of cutting that dendrogram lower, there are just a few big clusters that I think might be good candidates to break down a little further. But I and my team have been working really hard to make this a fully transparent, objective process. And we hesitate to sacrifice that by imposing decisions, and would love to take your direction on that. So if you read through, there are a few places where we put in as a question, this could be split further. And I'll be looking forward to any responses from commissioners as you take a look.
Thank you so much, Moon. Any other final comments as she has wrapped out? We have a big hand from Sarah Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to emphasize to commissioners, as I've talked about these emerging COIs or clusters, and kept you updated on the developments there. I know I've mentioned this before, that it is up to you all how to use this. It's certainly easier for you to wrap your arms around 36 clusters rather than 500 some COIs, but that's not to say that the individual COI information is not also available to you. It is. So you can consider this another tool in your toolbox that you can use that can assist you in this process. Thank you.
Absolutely. I just want to say I couldn't agree more. I think these are best used by giving you an ability to flip back and forth between individual submissions and trends, but that you shouldn't take the clusters to replace the value of individual submissions. And that's why we've provided within the report tables where you can read what people have to say in their own words.
Thank you, Moon. Okay, and it doesn't look like we have any questions from inside, and I don't see any questions from Commissioner Wagner either. Oh, Commissioner Eid.
As far as having an end date on communities of interest, is that something y'all wanna, does anyone have any thoughts on that? I mean, my gut reaction is to actually not have a date where we stop taking community of interest data until as late into the process as possible. I think as we move forward in mapping, we're probably going to get even more input on our public comment tool. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
General Counsel, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So as Commissioner Eid and others have indicated, and the Constitution makes clear that the public engagement will be ongoing throughout this process. And so the use of the portal is certainly a very convenient way for the commission and the public to engage, whether it be to provide written comment or potential COI submissions or potential map submissions. So that decision, again, would not need to be made any time soon, as that should be continuing throughout the active mapping procedure, as well as the periods where the commission will be receiving public comment, namely the 45 days in between the publication of the proposed maps for final adoption and that final vote. So it's a very, very useful tool, I think, not only for the commission, but the public. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General Counsel. Any other final thoughts before? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellum. I was just going to reiterate what Anthony said. Hearing that, I was very uncomfortable with shutting down the portal with as much push as we all and we're eagerly waiting for it to show up. I'd hate to cut off the public's voice in that matter. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Duchin, I don't think we have any more final thoughts for you.
Great. Well, then I'll just thank you for welcoming me back again today and ask that you consider whether you would like the next round to include all the August submissions and be delivered to you in early September. That's our current thinking on the timeline, but we're happy to speed it up or slow it down as you prefer. So if we don't hear from you, we'll proceed with that plan, but as always, are looking to best serve your needs. So nice to see you all today and take care.
Nice to see you too. Take care, Moon, and we appreciate you. Commissioner Ede.
So as far as incorporating these heat maps into the software, where are we on that? Is that something that's going to be possible, or you're going to kind of have to look at them, you know, maybe print it out and consider it with the software? But it would be better if it were in the software.
I think, sorry,
Yes.
quickly, I think Sarah has indicated that she would talk about how it's going to be aggregated together, but I can turn attention to Sarah to clarify. Pardon me,
Yes.
Kim, I did not mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to jump in there and get that out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Commissioner Ede, MGGG and your mapping consultant and ourselves will work together to make sure that the data is incorporated in a way that's helpful for the commission. And our goal is to have this to you by your meetings next week, and we'll certainly keep you updated on that timeline.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mdos. Thank you, Commissioner Ede. Moving on to new business, item 6B. Without objection, I would like to ask General Counsel Julianne Pastula to cover litigation counsel budget and modified contract. Hearing none, please proceed.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Again, the commission has before it proposed resolution 2021.08.20 to establish a total cost of litigation counsel RFP and modify certain contract terms. As the commission will recall, when Baker Hostetler submitted their proposed bid, they drew attention to the liquidated damages clause and also a disclosure clause of active proceedings against individuals in the firm. So the resolution has before it removal of paragraph 9, the liquidated damages clause. The commission would have the ability through the civil process to pursue those types of damages. And for point 2, modifying paragraph 28 of Schedule A to reflect the following, that the notifications will be given for key personnel that are the disclosures, key personnel that are the subject of any publicly filed litigation related to the performance of their professional obligations of the firm. So this is also in keeping and recommended by your general counsel to update those 2 contract terms. The other update would be to add a total cost not to exceed $750,000 to that contract. And one term that was just confirmed just today would be, instead of having the contract term run through March 31st of 2022, which has been consistent with other contracts that the commission has accepted, the recommendation would be to add after the word costs in the paragraph, the first paragraph of the resolution, quote, with the initial contract term unless terminated, expiring on August 31st of 2022. Again, this is your litigation counsel, so we will need these individuals past March of 2022. So therefore, I would recommend that the resolution with the addition of the contract term expiring on 8/31/2022 be adopted. That way, the notice to award can be moved forward and this contract can be executed prior to the expiration of August 2021. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Commissioner Witches.
I just want to move that we approve resolution 2021-0820 to establish the total cost of litigation counsel and modify the contract terms for Baker Hostetler.
Motion made by Commissioner Witches. Is there a second? Second made by Commissioner Orton. Sorry, Commissioner Lett. So I saw Cynthia's hand first, but I heard your voice. Is there any debate or discussion? Commissioner Clark, please.
Yeah, Julianne, you indicated to extend it to August 31st, 2022. Why wouldn't we extend it to September 30th, the end of the fiscal year?
That's an excellent, through the chair to Commissioner Clark, that's actually an excellent question. So what we're doing is the contract language as presented currently states a 1-year initial term, but that's not reflected in the date. So the date, it would be 1 year from the effective date of the contract, which we would expect to be at the end of August. We expect to have it fully executed at the end of August. So that 1-year initial contract term would again match up with the effective date of the contract and run for 1 year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for General Counsel? Okay. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. The ayes prevail and the motion is adopted for the resolution to establish total cost of litigation counsel and modify contract terms with expiration date 8/31/22. Moving forward to new business, item 6C, begin mapping drafts for the Northwest, Northeast, and Upper Peninsula State Senate districts. The regions in which the commission will be working at this time provide a starting point, so we aren't mapping the entire state at one time. Regions are not districts, so district lines will be drawn across region lines as the commission meets the criteria listed in the Michigan Constitution, starting with equal population. We'll continue in roll call order and pick up where we left off on Tuesday. Commissioner Vice Chair Zatella, if you'd like to facilitate, you are more than welcome, or you can rest if you'd like to. Okay. And Michigan Department of State Staff, Sarah Reinhardt, can you assist with the roll call order?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I believe we left off last time with Commissioner Witches. And so we would circle back around.
I think there's some murmurings that it might have been MC.
I believe our records indicate that we left off with Commissioner Witches, but certainly if the commission wants to start with MC, we can do that.
Madam Chair.
General Counsel.
My notes reflect Commissioner Witches as well. And as I recall, I believe that Commissioner Witches opened up a very collaborative session in regard to that particular district. That Commissioner Rothhorn was a very big part of that discussion. But my notes reflect Commissioner Witches as well.
Correct. I was just letting them start at their own pace.
So next up would be Commissioner Clark.
Thank you. John, could you bring the map up for the UP? And we will be working on the state senate district.
Okay, I'm just connected my computer to the HDMI cable. So let me share the screen and hopefully we can all see this. Okay, this is, before moving the map, this is just the total population of the three regions for your consideration. And approximately, again, the total population for the three regions is 780,000, 781, 289, which is approximately 3 Senate districts. So the three regions that you're considering are the UP, the Northwest, and the Northeast. And here's the UP.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to start on the west side of the UP, please.
Okay, after a brief discussion with Kim Brace, we were going to suggest that we start again with a district numeral 1, even though we've used numbers in other areas. It would just be consistent to start each region fresh. It's open to the commission, of course.
Commissioner Wishes.
Just clarifying, why wouldn't we just continue moving on with the Senate maps that we've already created and adding on to?
Let me defer to Kim on this.
What you have so far is on the Senate districts, you're up through 1 through 7 or 8, I believe. Now, then you're jumping way up to the UP. So you could start with 38 up there, but that's where existing 38 is. And I didn't want people to be confused that you're changing something that people know up there. So that's why we were looking at the potential of, we'll be able to mesh them better at that point in time. And so that's why our suggestion was to try to start afresh at this point with districts 1 through whatever. Then when we get them all together, then we'll be able to renumber them with all of your help in terms of that.
So this would be a brand new file and auto-bound then technically, correct?
Yes.
And then, but we'll be able to merge them all together.
We'll be able to merge.
Okay, all right, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and again, right now, just to be clear, this plan has no districts in it at this moment. So it's a completely different plan and we're focusing on the region. Okay. Commissioner Clark?
Yeah, that makes a difference. That it's a different plan. Now that I look at, yeah, I want to start in the western part of the UP, please. And let's start, there's an island up in the far western. Let's start with that. Yeah. Yeah, that's part of that county. And then let's just proceed east with all the counties.
Okay, so
I think there's 2 alternatives here. One is go along the shoreline and split it horizontally or vertically. I think that's our 2 choices. I would prefer to keep the whole western section together as one. So all those counties below it,
okay,
I would do those.
so Keweenaw and then Houghton,
Houghton,
Ontanogan,
I can't say some of these names.
Ontonagon, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll get some of this right.
Moraga.
I'll get Ishpeming right.
Yeah, Moraga, Iron, Dickinson, Marquette, Menominee, Alger, and Delta, and let's see where we're at number wise. So.
All right, you have the Porcupine Mountains in there,
Yeah.
Delta. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead with that one.
Schoolcraft.
No, where are we at number wise?
So it's 240 out of 265 is the ideal, -9. And
What about the one?
Population is 24,000.
What about the one below that? How much, that county below the purple?
Schoolcraft is 8,000.
And how far are we short?
We were short 24. With that, it'll be short 16.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one and then. Oh, boy.
5,000 in Luce, 10,000 in Mackinac, and 37,000 in Chippewa.
So if we take those two, the 5,000 and the 10,000 you said,
Yes.
that gets us close to the 255.
It does.
But
But
yeah, that leaves us. Yeah, that won't work at all. No. Boy, yeah, that's where we're gonna get stuck. Cynthia, you want to give us some help?
Well, I worked on this one last night and I think you just have to take part of Chippewa County and part of Mackinac County and end kind of right before the bridge. Otherwise you cut yourself off and it can't be contiguous.
Yeah.
I agree.
so shall I take all of Mackinac out while you decide how to look at the townships or county populations?
Yeah, let's take it out because it's a problem the way it is.
Okay, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Once I can. There we go. Oh boy, one moment. I'm doing the hokey pokey with this, one moment. We're in, we're out.
It's in the UP, it's the Houghton Pokey.
Fair enough. Okay, so of the two counties, I can make the selection layer
Yeah.
townships, and this will give you the population of the townships. And again, the Southern County Mackinac and the Northern County Chippewa.
Yeah, so we're short how much?
Currently short 11,204. Although I will point out it is -4.22 as drawn. So that's what the number is now. If you were to not take any additional, the district would be.
We'd still be within the correct deviation if we didn't do anything.
Yes, if plus or minus 5 are the outer bounds, then yes.
And we haven't gone across the bridge yet.
Correct.
Yeah, I would almost want to stop here. Yeah, because we have a significant population, but not enough, I believe, on the other end of the peninsula. And then a lot of the Native American reservations are on that side as well, so that would keep them together. Go ahead, Cynthia.
And then I have Commissioner E to jump in as well. Go ahead, Commissioner Martin.
So I wonder, would it be possible, the other day, Kim, you showed us a kind of heat map of the racial data, and there was something right up in this area of Native Americans. Can you show us where that was?
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Kim.
Yeah, I think that's where we saw a lot of North American reservations. And that's why I would want to keep it together, leave that so it could stay together if possible. And I also know there's a prison over in Chippewa County at the far end, of the eastern end, so that may elevate that population as well. yeah, I don't like.
Can I
having-
have it open if you want me to share it, if that would be easier? Okay. Is that from through the chair, is that all right?
Yeah, John, I don't like having that big a deviation, but in this type of situation, I don't know how we can avoid it.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah, yeah, that whole eastern part is heavily populated that way, so. I think I would want to leave what I've suggested in place at this point, even though I don't like the deviation being that high. We don't have much population to deal with up there. So yeah,
Commissioner
that's what I'd
Clark.
like to suggest.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Commissioner Ede.
So, yeah, I yield back at this point.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
can you explain why you started where you started?
Yeah, I started in the far northwest portion of the Upper Peninsula, so we would not get boxed in up there. And then I moved east, and we had to move further east than I had anticipated, but we did that because we had to make sure the population fell within the appropriate deviation.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Curry.
Excuse me, I have a question. I'm sorry, I don't think anybody was able to see my hand.
Please, Commissioner Lang, go ahead.
I'm curious about leaving that open. I understand that Mackinac and Chippewa, because I've done my research on the Native American communities, both have very large populations of Native Americans. But also, if you look to the east, you have, and forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, I always do, Baraga County or Baraga, that also has a large community of Native Americans. So with leaving two areas with that big of deviation, would it not help if you added the larger population, which I think, I could be wrong in my research, I thought it was Chippewa County, to include that, and then you would have the Native American population in Baraga County, which might, I mean, I doubt if it'd be enough to give them their voice, but it might be closer to making them if you, rather than leaving the two blank, I guess is what I'm saying.
I was gonna suggest something kind of similar. If you, in this district that we're naming number 1 for now, if you put in just the upper parts of Sault Ste. Marie and like the actual city of Sault Ste. Marie and just connect it to what you have with Luce, I think is it Luce County, you get the population, and then you can have all of Mackinac County with Sheboygan and the rest of the eastern part of the Upper Midden.
I think by doing that, you also keep the lakeshore community intact up there as well.
You do.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Zatella, and
Isn't that gonna throw you over population though? Because doesn't the Sioux have almost 17,000 people in it?
On mine, I'm over 2%. So it's pretty close.
Okay.
go ahead. Yes.
Okay, I think on the map here, this may be the tribal designation, this faint outline here. This may be a tribal area designation on the map. I'm mousing around that area. Is that something you were discussing?
It looked like you were hovering over most of Mackinac County.
Sorry, this portion of Chippewa, I was talking with Kim here, and I think this on the map is a tribal designation. If you see it, it's outlined, and you can see it on your own screens possibly as well. Does that extend all the way into like the tip of where Sault Ste. Marie is? No, it looks like the city is up here on the border with Canada, and then these are more sparsely populated townships, which I think that corresponds to the Native American concentrations that you pointed out on the map. So, right, what I was suggesting is if you zoom in and go to townships and add Whitefish, Bay Mills, Sioux, and Sault Ste. Marie, that puts you at the correct population. And then everything south of that is that reservation you were talking about, which can go in a separate district.
But that doesn't make Sault Ste. Marie contiguous, I don't believe.
Okay, do you want me to click those townships in? Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Ede?
Yeah, let's see what it looks like.
Commissioner Witches, did you want to jump in now, or would you want to wait? Okay.
So I don't know if I bring them now or not, but I submitted a map basically to EDS, the state, and our staff for review last night. I got the population down for that district to 1,000, deviation of 1,755 people. We're basically doing what I have at this particular point, but I left Sault Ste. Marie out of District 1 in this case. And I split up one of the counties towards the bottom. And it seems to work because then you would have the Native American populations on the Sioux and the east side of the Upper Peninsula all together, and then going down across into the bridge. I don't know how I would go about showing this at this particular point. I guess I could go into Zoom and do it that way if anyone wants to see it.
So we'd have to back off what we just selected. Given what you're, let's do that. Let's back it off and let's put in what Dustin said.
Do you want me to pull it up
and
real quick?
see what happens. Can you put it in as a separate district? What Dustin said?
Can you link in?
Yeah, I can link in the Zoom. It'll take me just a minute to do so.
Yeah.
And I can show it. All right, hold on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Witches.
I also got, this is Commissioner Orton. I also got mine that I was working on last night down to 1.39 percent under. So while he's getting his up, I can share mine if you want to see it, and we can compare. No.
Okay. So let's see here.
Yeah. I think it'd be beneficial to work with two districts up here to see if we can balance the population.
We actually have both screens up right now on two different, that's kind of nifty. So the one with the 2 and the green area filled in is the one that I had submitted to state election data services and our staff last night. This would be placed on our website for review as well, if anyone wants to take a look at it, comment. But I also did a little bit more outside of what we're doing. However, this seemed to match up nicely for the Upper Peninsula, as well as going down into the Upper Lower Peninsula, plus taking care of both the northeast and northwest of the Lower Peninsula as well. So this was just my thought on how to split the west side and east side of the Upper Peninsula and then allow it to go down. This little area right here in purple, we could probably potentially use blocks to cut it along I-75, but feel free to give any comments if anyone wants to, give their thoughts. I'll
Vice Chair
let you.
Gonzalez. My only concern with this is how much you're cutting off the Native American population in Chippewa. Because the area that you have in purple in right now, and then the area that you have in green, the area in purple has, I think, 50% Native American. And then the area right next to it has 25% to 50%. So you're basically like splitting that community in half. So that would be my only concern. So consider that entire region of Chippewa like a concentrated Native American population. And when you split it up like that, you're splitting up that population.
So would you rather see the upper area of the green section move further to the left and then have the purple go down and eat into the bottom section of the green?
Yeah, but then that gets really tricky because if you do that, then those bottom precincts that you have in green, if you bring the purple into them, then you're cutting off the bridge. So
Well-
I ended up having to do blocks. Like I started out with this, but I ended up having to take blocks and go back a little bit into the center to sort of accomplish what you did here without cutting that population. So
Well-
it's just really the two precincts just to the left of where you have the green line.
That makes sense too. And then you could use blocks all the way to the, what is it? The west side of 75 and use blocks on the east side of 75 and
Yeah.
then use 75 as a dividing line. If that can morph into it, I'll, again, these are just my thoughts here.
When you did yours, Rebecca, did you, on the green portion, the green district, did you bring that down into the Lower Peninsula?
Yeah, you have to. You don't have enough
That's
population.
what I see, but you didn't bring it down as far as Dustin.
It probably was. The bigger issue is those three little precincts that are just to the left of where he juts up with the green. Pulling those in, you then have to just you have to take something from the purple to make it balance out. And the only way I could accomplish that based on how those lower precincts are aligned is to switch the block level.
But the purple, we're getting all pretty high on the deviation at that point.
Yeah, at this point, just what's on the screen on the left or what's in the plan that we're working on, it's still holding without any Mackinac or Chippewa. So it's 11,000 under before taking anything else in. We're just, I'm holding that there until
Which
you
was like
instruct.
4.5% or whatever.
Yeah, 4.2, yeah.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the public and just so commissioners are aware, only the map that's being screen shared through Zoom is viewable by the audience watching remotely. So if you begin referencing the map that's displayed in the venue to your left, my right, I would advise screen sharing it so we can allow the remotely viewing audience to view it as well. Thank you.
So I don't, go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Witches.
Sorry, my train of thought just derailed in my head. So I'll yield back.
Okay, Commissioner Ede.
Yeah, I think what we were doing fixes what Commissioner Zatella was speaking of, because if you include Whitefish, Bay Mills, Sioux, and Sault Ste. Marie, everything below that, and then to the right of the bridge, which also includes those Native American populations that Commissioner Lang was speaking on, can all be in one. And it works. So I don't know if we want to try that and see what happens or not. We were kind of about to do it. And then we stopped.
Yep, Commissioner Witches.
I guess I was always under the assumption of trying to get the deviation as low to 0 as possible. I guess I'd have to ask all of you if you would be willing to have a deviation so high in one particular area, knowing that that's going to potentially cause issues later on down in the state.
Can our commissioners with the radio voices, the deeper voices, can you all talk louder so that the folks over here can hear you? Just to repeat the last thing that you said, Commissioner Witches, please.
Oh, I said, if we're just, hold on. Are we going to be comfortable having a deviation so high in one particular district, knowing that that's going to potentially cause more issues further down into the state once we get there?
I'm willing to try it.
I'm willing to try it too.
To keep it high, I am too, because these are just preliminary maps and we're gonna be adjusting them as we go. along.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
These are not the last maps. It's just
Yeah, so
preliminary.
I would recommend keeping purple as it is at this point. And then when we begin to refine these districts, then we can move forward.
So could someone state what we have right now, like, because I can't really see it from here and I'm not seeing it on my Zoom. So what is our current count in District 1? Let me put it that way. Let me make it easy.
I have it up. So currently we're at 253,989 with a deviation of 11,204 people short of ideal.
Yes, that's what I have on the map here.
Yeah, I mean, why would we leave such a huge variation when we can just grab a few precincts and try to bring it a little closer?
Madam Chair, I don't think we're caught up on this system that you're seeing up here on the screen versus what Dustin has. So we were waiting for you to decide moving in Dustin's direction or what?
Or Commissioner Eads' direction or Commissioner Clark's direction. There's 3 different alternatives that are being discussed. here.
So my clarification for Doug is which are you talking about going with? What we have here on the screen or what Dustin was proposing?
What I had originally proposed, which I believe left Chippewa and Mackinac counties out. And that left us with a deviation of 4.5% or.
Yeah,
somewhere around
4.2 to 11,000
Yeah,
under
which-
the ideal.
Which could very well change when we begin to look at the racial data and the political data. We may adjust here or there at that point.
Vice Chair Satella.
But why not just add a few more precincts to that to get it a little closer?
One
I mean, you don't have to take
One
them
of
all.
the comments that we got out of the public hearings was keep the counties together. And that's one specific one that I got out of the Mackinac public hearing.
But that is actually, I think, number 7 on our list of constitutional criteria. Number 1 is equal population.
It is, but it doesn't mean you ignore it, and it's important to the public, which you could also say it's part of community of interest, to keep the counties together. So you could look at it in a couple ways.
But then we're gonna end up with 11,000 people short somewhere else. Or 11,000
Well, no,
people
we're
too many,
11,000
too
short.
many,
We gotta
yeah.
make up 11,000 somewhere else.
I think I would rather go with the
Somewhere
option
else
that
you'll be
leaves
up
us
higher.
with less to fix.
Mhm.
But that is Commissioner Kellum perspective. I'd rather have less to clean up on the back end. I understand, I see both discussions and both perspectives, but that's my current thought, but I'm continuing to listen. Commissioner Ede?
How about we just put a pin in this now and move on to Commissioner Curry, because I believe it's her turn next.
So yes, but I think we should maybe make a decision here about how to, just for the sake of John and Kim and wanting to just sort it out a little bit.
Would this be a time you want to take a break and think about it or continue?
You're a
Commissioners,
wise
would you-
man, Mr. Morgan.
Commissioners,
do you
it's your
see a-
pleasure. Would you like to have a?
Do you see a
15
high deviation as a problem as we go forward?
You'll find a way to balance it. There'll be some other districts that can be over. So from a strictly mathematical point of view, one district at this level is not, I don't think is significant, but to the point of the other commissioners, you could also adjust it. They're just different perspectives and different options.
This is also part of the reason why I talked about trying to do a complete plan. So that you end up getting to the other side of the state and figuring out, oh, okay, this is where my high district is going to be, or whatever the case may be. So it's, you know, as you move along, you can have different variety of different circumstances on that regard.
Commissioner Lang, do you have your hand raised? I want to be.
I do.
Okay.
I'm just on with Doug at this point, looking at it, since there's so many different possible options. I say we leave it as the commissioner that drew it wanted it, and we can address it later once we have more data.
Commissioner Witches.
I just wanted to add, I mean, even though I did bring up the deviation issue, if we are within the deviation window, we're by definition complying with the first criteria of equal population, because that's what the deviation allows for. So even though it would be potentially high, and I don't necessarily like it, as far as I'm concerned, we are still in compliance with the first part of what we're supposed to be doing.
Want to have any other final thoughts regarding moving forward with Doug's?
No, I would just say, I just keep it like this at this point, and then I don't like the deviation that high either, but we can adjust it down a little at some point, and if not, as Dustin said, we are in compliance. So I'd leave it and let's move on and see what develops at this point.
Okay. Vice Chair Zatella.
Yeah, I would just say that we're just making more work for ourselves down the road. You're gonna have to adjust it at some point. So why not just spend 5 minutes pulling off 3 precincts now and have it be closer, rather than get through 36 and get down to, or 30 and get down to the Detroit area and be like, oh gosh, now we gotta go all the way back and just all these other districts that we did the whole way down. It just doesn't make sense to me, but it's your district, Doug. So, but it is gonna have to be adjusted probably at some point, so.
I'm curious, and maybe I missed this in the back and forth, but Kim and John, do you have anything decisive that could add perspective to this?
Sure.
Thank you.
When you say it has to be adjusted, you know, if you think about moving forward with 37 other districts, you have 37 other opportunities to adjust for this. You don't have to specifically adjust this district. It's the overall deviation that you're talking about. So if this one's under, you have 37 other opportunities to have some of them over. And to Commissioner Zatella's point of view, yes, you could adjust this one to make it closer to a 0 or, you know, even population, but it probably wouldn't require you going backwards through the entire state to adjust this single district.
Thank you, John. It seems that we're at a bit of an impasse. but-
Let me
okay.
suggest we just take a yes, no vote real quick and whether we want to keep it like this or not, and have further discussion.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. You took the words right out of my mouth, literally. So, I'd entertain
I'll put that forth as a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Clark, second made by, I missed it. Who was the second? Commissioner Witches? Got it. Any discussion or debate on the actual motion? Commissioner Ede.
Yeah, I just think it's premature to vote on anything now. I mean, we're still, and we haven't done that thus far yet with anything that we've done. As far as this process that we're undertaking, I mean, this is the first district in this area that we're drawing. And, you know, for all the previous one, we've gone around the table and gotten what everyone's opinion is and then posted all of them. So I don't really think there's a need to take a vote. Instead, if, you know, when we get to Commissioner Curry's turn or my turn or Commissioner Zatel's turn, just present something different. Or Commissioner Witches, just present something different. It'll all go up on the website. It'll give us ideas and, you know, we'll go from there. I think voting on something now, it's going to change. If we vote on every single like preliminary district we put up, we're just going to be taking a whole bunch of time. I don't think it's necessary at this point.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner E. Commissioner Witches?
Keep in mind, we're not voting here on setting something in stone. We're just voting on leaving this alone and moving on and drawing, continuing at this particular point. So we end discussion on this particular district. That's it.
But we don't need to. Commissioner Clark already said he wants to leave it as it is, and that's his turn. We can move on to someone else, and if they want to add something or remove it, I mean, they can. That's what we've done this whole time.
Quickly, Vice Chair Zatella and then General Counsel, please.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what Commissioner Ede said. What is the point of voting on it if the next commissioner who comes along can change it? So I said, let's just move on. But I mean, I think we have a motion and a second at this point, so we need to vote, but.
I'd like to withdraw the motion, please.
Okay. General Counsel.
So for the to withdraw, the question is properly before the body. So the ability to withdraw would also be granted by the body. So I would recommend taking a vote on withdrawing that motion. And now that I've kind of given some guidance on that, let me also say the mapping procedures that have been adopted kind of anticipate this. The other, on Tuesday, and Monday, there were instances where the map was saved and then the next person in line made some modifications to it. And both of those would have been presented to the public on the website as work product of the commission. Again, there's no formality in what the commission is doing at this moment. So I would recommend that the collaborative mapping sessions go forward per the procedure, where the votes aren't taken until the proposed maps are being decided upon for publication. And that way the fluidity of this process and the ability of the commission as a whole to react to data and feedback can be maintained.
Thank you, General Counsel. Do we have a motion to, I can't think of the word, help me you all. Withdraw. There we are.
And that would be made by Commissioner Clark.
Thank you. So I was eyeing Commissioner Clark. Motion made by Commissioner Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
Come on, you all. Second made by Commissioner Lett. Thank you. Any discussion or debate on the actual motion? Hearing none. All in favor of withdrawing the motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is withdrawn. Okay, Commissioner Curry, we gave you a big introduction, so please proceed.
Okay, I'm looking at this map and I'm trying to decide whether we're through with that little block, right? So we're going on to Chippewa and Mackinac. Okay. And together they're short of the 265,000.
Yes, by
Okay.
quite a bit.
All right, so then can I drop down to Lilanu Charlevoix, and Emmett.
So I'm gonna put the first two counties, Chippewa and Mackinac, in a district. Is that what you like? I did. Hi. I know, sorry, the booming voice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Through Emmett, Charlevoix, Antrim, or something else?
I think Emmett, Charlevoix, and Antrim.
Okay, you have Kalkaska, Grand Traverse, and Leelanau.
Leela now has 22,301. So let's add that. Now, between Grand Traverse, okay, we see that, okay. I'm still short, right?
Yes, short 111,000. So it's currently
Let's
about.
go with,
Yeah.
can we go with Grand Traverse?
Okay. And now it's short by 16,400.
Oh, okay. Let's take
Kalkaska.
Kalkaska, yes.
Okay.
Now we're a little over.
Over only by 1,500. Okay. So you wanna stand there?
I'm gonna stand right there.
All right.
Commissioner Curry, can you provide any explanation about why you drew the map the way you did?
Well, I think they're all contiguous and contiguous. And we're just only short of like 1,500 people, so we can kind of make that up somewhere.
Thank you. Next, I believe was Commissioner Eid.
Doug has.
Commissioner Clark. Yeah, could you explain why you went to the west instead of the east when you got to the Lower Peninsula?
Because the population was more equal on that side.
Just a second, I want to take a look at a map that I've got. What's in my head is when the current maps, the current districts went to the east and not the west, that I would just want to verify that. And then I was just kind of wondering why we,
Doug?
Yeah.
This is the current map for the Senate, and it's
Oh, it is,
pretty much
okay.
goes.
Okay, then I was wrong. Okay, perfect, thanks. I yield.
Thank you.
She's done? Oh, okay. Go on. No, if you're finished, Commissioner Curry?
For the
Okay.
moment.
Next commissioner. I don't have a, that's one like, no. There's a little thing here. 1 second, you all. I don't have your Anthony Eid. Anthony Eid, you are the next commissioner to draw.
So I kind of had a little bit of a different take than where Commissioner Curry took the map. So I'm not sure if we want to like copy this and do another draft or like how we did the other day? Because I don't want to get rid of what Commissioner Curry or Commissioner Clark drew, but I do have a little bit of a different take on it that I'd like to show.
So what we can do is we can save this off now as a separate plan, and then we can use that as a copy for the EADS alternative or something along that line. So that we've got two different copies of this UP and Upper Michigan area.
Okay, yeah, is that okay with everybody? What are you guys thinking? Okay.
So to clarify, are you asking me to open a blank plan or to keep this and then you'll make adjustments from it in a new saved plan?
It doesn't need to be blank. It does follow District 1, like I was saying previously when we were discussing it. It just goes, instead of going to the west, it goes to the east.
Okay, so I will make a copy of these two districts and
And I can edit
then
it?
you can make adjustments. Okay, one moment. Okay, Commissioner Reed, I made a copy for you.
I'd like to point out while we're engaging in this collaborative process, I'd like to point out clusters A1 to A4 that we just got in this report from Dr. Duchin, because it kind of goes with what I've been thinking here. And it also works out with we were just talking about Indian reservations and how they start below the city of Sault Ste. Marie and go on to the eastern side of the state. If I have that correct, that was what Commissioner Lang pointed out, right? So what I would say is, let's actually start with Mackinac County, which right now is in green.
Okay, so Mackinac, and do you also want Chippewa in this district too?
No.
No? Sorry, is this a separate District 3? Or are you redoing?
Yeah, you can
two?
make it a separate District 3, actually. That
Okay,
works out
sure.
quite well. So you can add Mackinac and Chippewa to that. Okay, and now we can add the entirety of essentially everything to the right of the bridge.
Okay.
So it's Sheboygan, Presque Isle, Otsego, Crawford.
One moment, I'm going to add the regions back in. With the new plan, the regions would be re-added. One moment. Okay, so you said Sheboygan, Presque Isle,
Everything in that region, actually.
everything in the region?
Everything in that region.
Okay, the population there is 251,71.
I would also add the If you zoom in on Wexford County, right there.
Okay, there's Misaki and Wexford, yeah,
Yeah, so add Miswaki.
okay. And now that's 30 people off.
And add just, so if you look at Wexford, it's a 4x4 grid, essentially. You add just you split it down the middle, add the 8 blocks that are to the right. So, yeah. those
Including
8,
Cadillac?
Including Cadillac.
Okay.
And the next 4 as well to the left of that.
Okay, that's 291,000.
Now I would go back up and unassign. Let's go all the way back to the top of Chippewa County. And I would unassign, let's see. Yeah, I'd unassign all of that northern part. So County, Sault Ste. Marie. And we go to the left, Bay Mills and Whitefish. And actually, instead of unassigning them, I would actually add them to District 1 because it would bring down that population difference and also respect those Native American communities and also reflect what's in clusters A1 through A4 in the communities of interest report that we got earlier. Now, if we zoom out, I don't know what we want to do with Sugar Island. I would defer to ask what everyone else thinks about that because I'm not really too familiar. But if we zoom all the way out, yep, keep going and scroll down a little bit. I believe now districts 1 and 3 are right. And if we just add, so if we add the rest of the Northwest region to District 2, it would also be okay population-wise. I'm not saying to do that because that would be moving on to a new district. So maybe the next commissioner could do that. But that is kind of my thinking.
Commissioner, you have a non-contiguous piece here right now.
Yeah, it's the Sugar Island that you were talking about.
So Sugar Island has what, 634 people in it?
That's right.
Well, if it's discontinuous with 1, right? So let's put it with 1.
Okay.
Commissioner Orton?
So I have 2 comments. First, a question. If you could zoom in to the Sault Ste. Marie area where we just were. I played with this on my own, but I felt that was between Bay Mills and Sioux. I felt like that was non-contiguous because it's only connected by water, those 2 pieces of land. So I would like clarification on that. And also, my second comment is, I felt like since the population is so sparse and it's such a large area, if we're gonna go over or under, I felt like we should go slightly under in population to not make it even bigger than it needs to be. But anyway, what do people think about the contiguousness of those 2 pieces?
It looks to me that the counties are contiguous with each other, but I don't know how that works with land. which is exactly what you're saying. And yeah, I had not seen that. But if you look at the county boundaries of Bay Mills and Sioux, those border each other. So I'm not quite sure how that works.
I don't know if there's guidance from that in your criteria. There may be.
Commissioners, the Constitution states that island areas are considered to be contiguous by land to the county of which they are a part.
But this is not an island. This is two pieces of land.
Right, if general counsel, if you want to. What you have here is the Census Bureau is attempting to show what it had to the extent that it had. You are pointing out a correctness in terms of the land on that side, though.
And yeah, these are the township boundaries.
It is part of the same township. So
Right.
it's part of the same township. It's not, across the water. It's in the same county. Yeah, but it's in the same county, but it's the same township, right? If you click it,
Yeah, this is Bay Mills Township there, going across the bay.
all one township, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
On
so that
both
seems like
sides
it's
of the harbor.
contiguous then. You see what I mean? Like one township?
Yeah, is that what contiguous means? I just want clarification on what contiguous means.
General counsel?
Contiguous would refer to, it doesn't refer to the political boundaries at all. It's that area is not disjointed. So it's not, so that you can't have an area here and then an area on a different area of the map. And island areas are considered contiguous with their corresponding county on the mainland.
So to me, this kind of seems discontiguous, because to get to one side, if my voting area is in a certain area, I would have to drive through another. I could not get to my voting precinct unless I drove through another district.
Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, we had that comment up in Marquette. There's one area over toward the west where they had to drive 70 miles to vote. And we have basically the same situation here.
And they don't like that.
No. I yield.
Commissioner Orton, I had a
Sorry.
feeling. No, that's why I looked your way.
So the problem could be solved by using census blocks to go around there and hook them together, but maybe that's not the best solution. Maybe there's another solution.
Okay. No, I was. Vice Chair Zatella, are you ready to, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
To zoom back in, Mr. Morgan, thank you.
I wonder if it would help us if we could see the population of that little portion, if it is populated in terms of voting.
Madam Chair, as I understand the question and becoming familiar with the visual that Mr. Brace and Mr. Morgan are showing, my understanding is the question is whether the island area can serve as the mechanism to make two portions that are separated by water on the land. If the island is part of the same county, that is acceptable.
Except,
That's in the same district.
except this is not an island.
Right. And Kim, can you zoom out a little bit more? Because it's a little bit further east. Yep. So go down. A little bit further
See, that-
down.
That's an island there, but here is all land
Right.
connecting here.
That is not contiguous. So the mainland is split between the purple one and what appears to be gold to me, number 3.
Yeah.
Those two, that is not contiguous. The island is clearly part of the purple shading, but that break in between the landmass would not suffice.
Okay, the next commissioner to draw is myself, Brittany Kellum, and I'm going to pass for right now. And then that would make the next commissioner to draw Rhonda Lang, Commissioner Lang.
Okay, can we go back to the previous map?
Okay. Say this one.
Madam Chair,
General Counsel.
the commission, I would strongly recommend that the non-contiguous nature of that particular district be addressed.
Thank you, General Counsel, for the recommendation.
If I may.
Commissioner Ede.
To fix it, and I know we're gonna keep adding it, that's fine. I would just take Superior County out of 2 and put it into 1 for now. Superior Township, sorry.
For rendition, we already switched it, so go back.
Okay, switching back.
Kim, don't forget about your microphone, please. No, you're fine. No.
Okay, you were talking about Superior Township to the south of Bay Mills, yes?
Yep.
Okay.
That fixes the contiguity problem, so that's good. Yeah, my whole idea with this was trying to make it so that this part of the UP goes with the right side of the, the top of the right hand of the mitten rather than the left side, which, can be pretty much everything we have already identified in our north western region. So that's the reasoning behind it.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I think the other advantage of what you just did, Anthony, was now we've got the lake shore all together in one district. And that was one of the comments we got out of Marquette as well, that was important to some people.
My only critique of my own thing that I just drew would be, I don't know, it'd be nice if once we got further into this, we had an Indian reservation overlay, because I know it's somewhere in Superior, but I don't know where exactly it is. And I wouldn't want to, take that chunk of their population out of it. But I'm sure we can get into the block level later and figure it out.
Thank you, Commissioner Eid. I would just add one of the comments that I received at a public town hall that we had with respect to the Native American community was that 80% of Native Americans don't actually live on the reservation. So that individual cautioned me and my fellow commissioners who were at that town hall to not simply look at reservations, to look at the census data, because the reservation data does not reflect the entirety of it. Actually, it reflects the minority of the Native American population. Commissioner Lang, you wanted to switch to the original map. Is that accurate?
That was what I requested, yes.
Okay, so can we save this map and then go back to the original map for Commissioner Lang so that she can draw her district?
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Lang.
Yep, can you see that, Commissioner Lang?
No, I need it to go up more so I can see the vacant areas a little bit better. I see the UP. There we go. That's better.
Okay, and one moment, since we switched plans, I need to add the regions back in. One moment. Okay, Commissioner Lang, you can see the regions now, yes?
I can see the regions, and it's our goal to stay within these regions because I honestly think that there's some areas within the regions that would go better with other regions that we're not doing.
Commissioner Lang, this is Vice Chair Zatella. So the regions are there as guidance to help us in mapping. If you want to cross a region, you're absolutely free to do so.
Okay, thank you. Can we go up a little bit farther?
How's that?
That's better, but the region I'm looking at, I don't want to cut somebody off for the next one. But based on public comment and knowing the area, if I was going to do a district, I would start with Wexford County.
Okay, so in this plan, we have two districts, so this would be a District 3 in this version. So Wexford, which is Cadillac.
Correct. And keeping in mind public comment about people wanting lakeshore districts, I'm going to stay away and start heading east, so Misaki.
Okay.
Roscommon, Crawford. And this is where it would dip. Actually, I wouldn't go up. I think these areas more gather in together. So I would also look at other regions such as Lake Osceola, Clare, and Gladwin. These are all very rural areas.
All 4 of them for this
Correct.
district? Okay.
And I still need 180. So could we add in I don't want to go too far into other districts, you guys, or other regions. And I
Let's
know
see.
we got comments about keeping, there were some flood areas, so I don't want to go into that. I would say Ogama and Oscoda. And then again, we got the Lake Shore. So, and we need Newaygo and Macasta.
Okay, putting both of those in, Newaygo was almost 50,000 and Mecosta was about 39. So now it's 295 over by 29.
Okay. Newaygo could go with the Lake Shore. I know they've got a lot of farming district through there, as is Oceana County.
About 25,000 off.
Oh, this is harder than it looks. Take Mecosta County off, please.
Okay.
And what would we get if we added Otsego and Mount Morency?
Okay. Now it's off by about 25,000, 239.
So I need to add population or to add.
Add approximately 25,000 to bring it close to the ideal.
Okay, let me take a quick peek. Give me just a moment. Add Sheboygan, please.
All right, Sheboygan, and that's 20 people off the ideal.
Okay, I'll stop there. My reasoning is we had a lot of public comment about people living on the shoreline that wanted districts that comprised of the shorelines. And we had a lot of public comment about keeping rural districts rural. So that's why I drew what I did.
Thank you, for Commissioner Lang. At this point, we are going to move on to Commissioner Lott. Sorry, Commissioner Clark, did you have a comment?
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I've got a comment based on the logic of using the lake shore. I think it applies more toward the House than it does the Senate. And I think it restricts us from drawing the Senate boundaries if we apply it there. And the House is a lot smaller. It's probably 30% smaller than a Senate district. And they could get their representation on the lake shore through a House district rather than a Senate district. I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Eid.
Yeah, I got to agree with my colleague. I see what Commissioner Lang, I see what you're trying to do, and I think it's well warranted. But I don't think that the numbers actually work out, because now if you put all those lakeshore communities in one, it's not enough people to make a Senate district. But I do believe this kind of idea would work for the House districts, like Commissioner Clark said.
Thank you, Commissioner Eid. Commissioner Witches.
I guess I'll agree as well, but actually no, but if we were to go into and go down the lake shore now on the east side of the state, you're gonna have to get into Bay County. And that was one of the regions that the individuals from Midland Bay and Saginaw stated that they wanted to, as best as possible, be together in not only congressional, but also the Senate and, if at all possible, House districts as well, as best as possible. And this, I think, would bust the Senate right open, so they wouldn't be able to be in there together. At least the cities, I guess I should say, at least the cities of Bay City, Midland, and Saginaw City proper, not the whole county. So if we can figure out how, if this would potentially work, isolating those three cities and then going and making a district around them, then I see this particular plan working. If that's not going to be possible, then I don't know if it would or not. If anyone has any thoughts pertaining on that particular line of reasoning, feel free to let me know.
Okay, any additional thoughts on the district that Commissioner Lang has drawn? Okay, as we said, these are draft plans and we are moving and changing as we move forward. So we're going to continue to move on to Commissioner-elect.
Well, and looking at what's available, I don't know how to draw either the east or the west side without making them look gerrymandered, without making them look like a snake. Well, we start at the top. We'll do number 4, start at Presque Isle County. Come down the east side.
Okay, so I've gone down to Iosco.
Very good.
Thank you.
Want to take a shot at the next one?
Aranac,
Aranac.
close. Aranac,
Give me that one.
okay.
Could we just change the color
Sure,
so we can see it better?
no problem. So currently it's 92,000, so down about 172 towards the ideal.
Give me Bay.
Okay,
Give me Midland.
that's 14,000 over, positive 5.4 deviation.
All right, there's 2 problems with this district. Number 1, Flint, Saginaw, and Bay have expressed a desire to remain together, so that splits those up. It does solve kind of one problem in that we're now 14,000 over, which kind of offsets the 11,000 under in District 1. The other problem is I don't like it. So I'm open for suggestions.
Yeah, and I think that, sorry. The Presque Isle specifically gave us public comment that that said that they're so rural, and I just hesitate to include them in you know, the large cities along the south there. I think it's yeah, it's a long district and it's challenging, like you said, Steve. But yeah, Presque Isle in particular, yeah, they specifically, there's more than one comment. They said they're very rural, and I think there's something about like not even one stoplight in the whole county, something like that.
But I don't disagree. But I can't leave them up there all alone. And I gotta have population.
I don't think they would mind.
Unless we change something.
Commissioner
we're
Lett?
kinda stuck. Yes.
I am fine with you changing my areas. I was trying to see based off from what was drawn already, what it would look like to try and get some of those rural areas together. So by all means, you can change mine. I won't be offended at all.
Okay, commissioners, we've got bursting hands. I saw Commissioner Orton's hand first, and then I think it was Commissioner Eve. And I'll go after that. We'll figure out the order after the first two.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what Commissioner Clark pointed out. I think many of the public comments we heard in the communities of interest work better for House districts or work better for Senate districts. We need to take that into consideration because this is just not working.
Okay, and Commissioner Eve?
Yes, I do.
Commissioner-elect, given that you do live here, I also would feel free to edit or give your opinion on the one that I drew too. I really would like your expertise on it, considering that one area in the north western region was left unfinished.
Vice Chair Sotelo.
So I worked on a Senate map over the weekend and it should be available online. But the way I sort of solved this problem is I went a little differently than how we have gone on this map. So for the second district coming off of the Upper Peninsula, I veered to the right and grabbed, you know, Sheboygan, I think it's Sheboygan, is it Sheboygan? Sheboygan, Presque Isle, is that how you say it?
Presque Isle.
Presque Isle. Alpena, and a few surrounding counties. And then I put Traverse City into a separate district coming out a little bit similar to the Lower Peninsula green portion that we have right now. And then I tried to put the rural areas into their own district wrapping around Midland because we received a lot of public comment about the areas surrounding Midland being rural and wanting to stay together. And then by doing that, I was able, I didn't get trapped sort of the way that this is, and was able to put Midland, Saginaw, and Bay City together. So it's not perfect, but I think the way that Anthony was going might be easier for us to avoid getting trapped. And I'm happy to share my screen and show what I did. And you guys can pan it all you want, but it might solve the problem we've gotten ourselves into.
Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I'd like to see your solutions, Rebecca. Can we get it up on the screen?
It's not perfect. I'm not saying it is.
No need to be bashful.
And Rhonda, feel free to move my rural districts around if you don't agree with them, because you're the expert there. Trying to share, it's not letting me. I think you guys need to probably stop sharing so I can share. Or did you already? Let me try. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay. Can you guys see it now?
No.
Oh, that's it right there. So I sort of divided it the same way on the UP. I brought off Sault Ste. Marie together to cross the bridge. Grab these communities here, which are more coastline, and then I didn't quite have enough population, so I had to go in and pull here a little, but I didn't do the whole county. Pulled Traverse City and the surrounding counties. And then again, I had to veer up into here a little bit just to balance out this population in Midland, but that allowed these counties all together that are all rural, who said they wanted to be together, And we could possibly group this in by kind of rebalancing here, but it's just a suggestion. So go ahead, Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. The only thing that stands out to me is Petoskey and Charlevoix are more aligned with Traverse City than they are with the eastern side of the UP or the Lower Peninsula. But other than that, I think it is a good approach.
If you can see, like I was able to get Bay City, Saginaw and Midland together and pull out the counties around it that are rural who said they wanted to stay rural. So just a suggestion.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lang's hand is raised. Can't see it, but it is.
Thank you. Commissioner Lang?
Actually, I put it down, but I appreciate how Rebecca drew this, but I would have to disagree. When you look at Osceola and Lake County, and then you look up at like Grand Traverse and the Lake Shore, there's really no similarity whatsoever in things. I don't know. I just don't foresee them being the same, but that's my opinion because I live there, I guess. So maybe I'm a little biased.
Commissioner Curry?
I remember just about everyone speaking that they wanted more rectangular blocks than snakes or funny designs. And so if we could try to keep it as, and this come from just about everywhere we went, they said, just keep it rectangular, keep it square, keep it even. So if we can just kind of work around that, it would probably be pretty good. I mean, we don't have to keep every, but you know, most of it pretty rectangular.
Any other thoughts? Steve, are you? What do you feel about what you've drawn? Okay, well, yeah. Or do you want me to go on? I'm sorry that you don't like it, so I want to.
I will leave mine where it is.
Okay. We have next to draw Commissioner Orton.
Okay. So we just have a little bit left in these regions that we were talking about, right?
Yes, it appears that only Benzie and Manistee County are not included from the regions. There are 4 districts. The regional population was for 3, but by going this way, we've added Midland and Bay and basically created the 4th district.
So can we zoom out a little bit? And see downstate a little bit, please. Zoom in a little bit now, sorry. Okay. Okay, well, start with Benzie and Manistee counties, please. And yeah, the next number. Okay, Mason and Oceana.
Let me put the population back on
Yeah,
for you.
please.
Okay, so this is 98,000 people.
Okay, so my thought on this is, I believe, so we wouldn't be able to fit all of Muskegon County. And I believe that Muskegon County wants to stay together and is more associated with Ottawa County than with these up above. So, but I'm kind of out of places to go. So any thoughts, anybody? Doug?
Are you trying to get the lake shores together or?
Well,
I mean, I would almost take those and merge them into Rhonda's orange ones. And I think that's more appropriate. I don't like the lake shore approach on the Senate side.
I
On the
agree.
House side, I
I
think
agree.
Rhonda's right on that we should take that approach. So I would suggest merging those in with what Rhonda did, and then we'll
Except-
take another look at the Lake Huron side.
Okay, I agree, except then we're kind of causing a problem in the middle of the state there. We're gonna have to go back and redo 3 and 4, I think.
Vice Chair Zatella.
How about we redraw that green district, which I think is 2, and bring it up and straight across. So like right now, it's kind of coming down one side. What if we grab Sheboygan, Press Isle, and take off Traverse City and see where we're at, and that way we have a little bit more population to play with. Does that make sense?
So John, would you make a copy of this and we could try it on that one since it will be changing it so drastically?
Okay. Also, we left District 4 overpopulated. So we'll just hold this plan partially. Okay, one moment. Okay, so this is a copy of the plan we were just working on. And again, I'm just going to add the regions for reference.
Thank you. Okay, so for District 2, let's try what Rebecca just suggested and do those top 3 counties. Add Sheboygan and Presque Isle to Emmett and Charlevoix.
Okay, so I'm going to add before I take out rather than do one for one.
Right.
And you want to go all the way to Alpena?
No, just Presque
Just those
Isle.
2? Okay.
Yeah, and then will you take out
Okay,
the,
so that's 40,000 over at this point.
okay, so will you take, only 40,000? Okay, please take out Grand Traverse, Leelanau, and Kalkaska. Hmm?
Okay, and I unassigned them because there's so much flux with these other districts.
Yes,
I
thank
think you're
you.
contemplating unassigning them. So the District
Okay.
2 as drawn is 95,000 under.
Okay, so this is going to go into 3 and 4 as well, but take from Antrim, take everything to the east, just straight across. those three.
Sorry, so
Alpena,
okay.
Montgomery.
into two?
However you say it.
You want those into two or into three?
No, I want Otsego. Yeah. And yeah, straight across.
Okay, into two.
So we still need 32,000. So let me look. So the problem I see with this is I agree that probably Charlevoix and Antrim would be better with Grand Traverse and Leelanau. So I see that as a problem. What about Emmett? What do people think? Do you think that goes with that side as well? Okay.
That's Petoskey, yeah.
Okay, so right where the, well, this is changing. Okay, so right where we have the region line for Emmett, Charlevoix, and Antrim, can you, yeah, unassign those, please, thank you. Okay, so now please assign to District 2. Yeah, but we're on unassigned right now, so.
You're catching things. I love it.
I had this really good teacher.
And again, there's still, because we took out Emmett, Charlevoix, and Antrim, there's a larger deficit.
Okay. Do one more row down, those 3 counties.
Michigan Department of State Staff, Sarah Reinhardt.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. For clarification purposes, John, can you tell what county Mackinac Island is in?
I believe Mackinac Island is in Mackinac County.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah, that's from my recollection, but look, I'll zoom in to double check.
You're correct, but you can double check.
Madam Chair, that's correct.
Thank you, General Counsel.
I'm sure I have fewer screens open than Mr. Morgan, so I'm happy to help.
Same, General Counsel.
Okay, so,
So now it's off by about 15,000.
okay, so there's a county right there that your cursor is on.
Misaki,
Yes, will you add that?
okay.
And that should be,
That's back to the 30 person off the ideal.
okay.
Cynthia, I'm gonna have Commissioner E jump in. Is that okay really quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
I just feel like I should say this is very similar to exactly what I drew a little while ago. Which is good, right? I mean, obviously, I think it's good. I drew it, but this isn't the only map we can work with. If you have comments on that one or on Commissioner Zatella's map, I feel like we don't want to get too much tunnel vision into working with just one when we have multiple things. I think Zatella's is quite good. I think the one that I do is quite good at this. You're going in the exact same direction as that map. You want to compare them?
John?
Yes, since you're drawing this and you've reconfigured several districts, do you want to unassign the partial districts that are just left hanging there, like that 5?
Yeah, please unassign those.
Okay.
And I'll So I'll just say, I don't know if we want to move forward with this, if we want to go back to the one that it was copied from. I feel like we were kind of at a stuck spot, so to me, I like this one, and I do like that it leaves the west portion of the Upper Mitten to be together, but it's on to the next commissioner, or if anyone has any input.
So just to comment on this, it appears that we basically redrafted a 1 and a 2, and then districts 3 and 4 are partial. So you want me to remove those for the moment, or is that what you like?
I think it would be less confusing if they're removed, if they're just unassigned for the
Okay.
moment.
Sorry, John, you were giving me eye contact, but I didn't have a particular preference at the moment. At this time, it's 3:51, and we had a stop for our mapping process at 3:50. Oh, that's not what I have. 3:50. Yep. So Commissioner Orton has left us kind of at a little cliffhanging point, but that's okay because we have good work to continue. So thank you, commissioners who drew today and all the good discussion that took place. At this time, we would have approval of minutes, but there are none to approve at this time. So I will move to staff reports, but there are also no staff reports for today. So
Apologies, Madam Chair, before we move on, Commissioner Orton, can you provide explanation for some of the changes that were made to the map?
Yes, so population is one reason. Trying to I don't know how to say, I felt like we were breaking up areas that wanted to be together and that had more in common. So that's why I started over here and went down the east side.
so that you could keep communities together.
So
That's it. Okay,
yeah, keep communities together.
Thank you. Again, apologies for the interruption.
Thank you, Commissioner Orton and Michigan Department of State staff. We now will move to Mdos updates if there are any.
No updates. Thank you.
Okay, and for correspondence received in advance of our meeting today was provided along with written public comments to the commissioners in our meeting materials. And it is my understanding, if I look at the agenda and go to item 11, future agenda items, that there are no future agenda items to share at this time. Are there any announcements? Okay, hearing no announcements, we'll move to adjournment because the items on the agenda are completed and the commission has no further business. A motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Witches, second made by Commissioner Rothorn. Is there any discussion or debate on the actual motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjournment, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, raise your hand and say nay. The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned at 3:55 p.m. Thank you.